Multiple unhappy superstars in the NFL right now. They're all dealing with contract negotiations with their current teams. Today, we're going to be updating you on the Terry McLaurin, TJ Watt, and Trey Hendrickson situations. Should the Arizona Cardinals be interested in any of these superstars? We're also going to be updating you in the current cap situation for the Arizona Cardinals. Should they make a pounce or stay pat? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. But as of this last Sunday, we have 10 more Sundays away from regular season football, and that means Cardinal football, ladies and gentlemen. So we're a lot closer than you think. Yes, we still got to get through the summer, but overall, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about today, primarily with a lot of these disgruntled, unhappy superstars with Terry McLaurin, Trey Hendrickson, as well as now TJ Watt is now in the mix of potentially a player that can get traded away from their current team. Now, I'm going to be real here. None of these guys, none of these superstars should be leaving their current team. Terry McLaurin, Washington should do everything in their power to keep him. Same thing with Trey Hendrickson as well as TJ Watt. But because it has gotten as bad as it has and as ugly as it has, I don't think I really remember a situation where we're sitting in July and there's three superstar disgruntled players that are not happy with their current contract situations. And I don't blame them, right? I do believe that they actually do deserve some sort of contract negotiation, some sort of contract extension. I do believe that all three of these guys will get paid. I just don't know if they're going to be getting paid with their current team, but they do deserve every single dollar. Now let's go ahead and dive right into, obviously, multiple different updates that are currently going on. Let's first dive into the cap situation, because I know there's going to be people running to the comments saying the Cardinals are not going to be able to afford it, right? Or why should the Cardinals be dealing with something like this, especially when we went so defensive heavy in this last offseason? Well, let's go and dive right into it, right? Let's talk about the current cap situation for the Arizona Cardinals right now. Now, this is numbers per over the cap. Shout out to them. This is going to be where the Cardinals are standing out right now. Right now, we are fourth in the NFL with the most amount of cap space and the most amount of effective cap space. I think right now we got about $36 million. Now, looking at the top, we got the Patriots, the 49ers, the Lions, and then the Arizona Cardinals. We do got a good amount of money to spend for any player that the Cardinals maybe potentially want to trade for. Now, will they trade for a big-time superstar player and give up draft capital? Well, we haven't really seen Monty Ossenfort and this regime do something like that so far in his tenure, but we also haven't seen a free agency in this last year like we seen Monty Ossenfort cook up, right? So there's a first time for anything. I do believe that every single one of these players can be a very, very big focal point in any specific team, right? A plug and play player that can make you from a playoff team to a potential Super Bowl caliber team, right? So this is a very, very important decision. Do the Arizona Cardinals have the money to allocate on a move like this? I mean, technically they do, but will they do it? That's another question for, obviously, for you to decide, right? Or for Monty Ossenfort to decide here at the end of the day. Go and first start off here with Trey Hendrickson. This guy's been dealing with contract negotiations since May 13th. This video was released, and he's requested a trade multiple years back, and the Cincinnati Bengals has always kind of told him, hey, kind of prove it to us, right? Prove it to us that you're going to be able to do this in a long-term basis. And guess what? Trey Hendrickson has been the guy that's been leading sacks for the entirety of the NFL with 17.5 sacks in back-to-back years. So we're not talking about a guy that's has not been able to prove what he can do. He's proved it time in and time again. And as of right now, I don't think there's really any updates from Trey Hendrickson's camp in terms of, are they going to be able to get some sort of negotiation or an extension, put on the table? Right now we're sitting in July. Now, yes, we got all of July. We got all of heading into, obviously, the regular season. We got, preseason in August, and we have heard some rumors, and I believe we heard Trey Hendrickson come out and say that he is willing to sit out a season if he's not going to get an extension. And good for him, right? Good for him. Overall, this is a guy that has absolutely earned every single dollar. Now, will the Arizona Cardinals be interested in a player like Trey Hendrickson? I mean, it would be foolish to not have some sort of interest, right? Especially if you're a general manager in the NFL. This type of move in terms of a Trey Hendrickson Hendrickson move, or maybe even a Terry McLaurin or a TJ Watt move, basically makes your fan base know that you're serious about a potential playoff run or a Super Bowl run, right? Now that's what these type of moves will actually entail. But Trey Hendrickson right now, latest updates is that there is no updates. Like there hasn't been good talks back and forth amongst the Bengals camp and the Trey Hendrickson camp. Now, obviously, Trey is living his life right now. He's doing a lot of things off the field, and good for him. He has held out of mandatory minicamp, which a lot of these players that we're going to be talking about today has held out of mandatory minicamp. So it's getting ugly. It really is it's getting very, very ugly. Let's move on over to the next guy that we want to talk about here. Is going to be none other than Terry McLaurin. Now, we have heard that Terry McLaurin is very unhappy with his current contract right now and wants to get some sort of extension. This is one of his best years he's had with the Commanders, and I'm talking about in terms of touchdowns. He put up a whopping 13 touchdowns with a rookie quarterback in Jayden Daniels. He looks very, very good. Now, yes, there's a lot of people that are concerned with his age. He is 29. He will be 30 years old by the time the start of the season, comes around. But every single year he's been in the NFL, with the exception of his rookie year in 2019, he has had 1,000 yards under his belt. Now, this is the latest update that we ended up seeing. Now, this is from Adam Schefter, and I believe he actually said this on the Pat McAfee show, but obviously we got the screenshot here from Dov Kleiman, and he says this, right? Adam Schefter on where things stand with the Commanders and star wide receiver Terry McLaurin. There's no update on the Terry McLaurin situation, and that's the problem. They have not made any progress. McLaurin is not happy with the contract talks. Now, like I said before, if I was the GM of the Commanders, if I felt like they should do everything in their power to bring back Terry McLaurin. This is Jayden Daniels' number one wide receiver, number one weapon, and he's proved that he can become that number one guy in a very consistent basis. He's just trying to make sure that his contract, right, his numbers right now is kind of matching what his production has been. He's been very, very reliable, very, very good for this organization, and I feel like they're going to make it work. It's just right now we're sitting in July and there's no updates, right? And Adam Schefter, I believe, actually said this a couple days ago. So it's not like one of those things where we're talking about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? No, this is 2 or 3 days ago where Terry McLaurin's still not happy with the current contract talks. Will he get traded out? Now, I do believe the Commanders are probably, if they do move him off, they don't want him in the NFC. They probably move him off over to the AFC, which would be really dumb. Not so much that they want to move him off to a different conference, but the fact that they're going to move off of him just in general. But obviously, the longer this, delays, it gets more and more real the closer we get to September and the start of the regular season. So Terry McLaurin now being a guy that could potentially being moved off of is a real thing as well. Now, TJ Watt. And I'm not sure if you guys know this, but the Steelers have been very, very active with obviously making moves. They ended up trading for Jalen Ramsey as well as tight end Jonnu Smith, and they ended up getting rid of Mika Fitzpatrick. Now, along with that trade, there was a lot of, late round picks in, I believe, 2027, but they've been very, very active. And this is kind of when the news started to kind of happen with TJ Watt. Now, I'm not sure if TJ Watt saw the moves that are being made and said, okay, well, I'm glad you're bringing in players to kind of help out, but what about me, right? That's kind of what it feels like, especially with the timing. But there has been some updates with the whole TJ Watt situation, and this is the latest update that we ended up seeing here from Adam Schefter. In recent weeks, multiple teams have been discussing whether they can trade for Steelers standout TJ Watt, who skipped the team's most recent minicamp. Pittsburgh hasn't shown any willingness to deal Watt so far, but he's unhappy with his contractual situation, and sources believe outside team interest is likely to increase given today's trade. Adam Schefter ended up reposting that and saying this: Steelers have been adamant they want TJ Watt to finish his career in Pittsburgh. Now, the situation we're living in right now, it definitely takes two to tango, right? TJ Watt's going to have to want to stay there, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, hearing what we're seeing Adam Schefter saying, it all sounds sweet, but, you got to put the actions in there. TJ Watt is one of the most biggest superstars in the NFL right now, and there is a lot of teams that would want his services. There's a lot of teams calling for him right now. Now, are the Arizona Cardinals one of those teams? We don't know, right? We don't know in this specific situation, but I do believe that the Arizona Cardinals right now should they be interested, right? That's the big question. I do believe that there has to be some sort of interest with any of these three guys. I would at least hope that Monty Ossenfort's picking up the phone and saying things like, okay, well, what would it take to potentially bring in a guy like Trey, to bring in a guy like TJ, to bring in a guy like Terry McLaurin? Because if you're not doing that, then you're probably not doing a great job at being a GM. Now, I understand there's specific steps to get to the level that we are at right now, right? The Cardinals right now are in year 3 of JG, as well as Monty Ossenfort in this current regime. People are saying this is playoff busts for Petzing as well as Kyler Murray. This is a big year for both of those guys, and why not take a big swing, right? Take a home run swing and make sure that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be a potential playoff team to a potential deep playoff team, or maybe even a Super Bowl contending team. Because like I mentioned earlier, if you make a move like this, getting a Terry, getting a Trey, getting a TJ Watt, these are type of moves that tells the NFL, okay, we're ready to compete and we're going for it all. Now, are any of these guys going to get moved from their respective teams? Honestly, probably not. The biggest one I could probably see getting traded away is maybe Trey Hendrickson, because of the disgruntledness of this has been happening for years. We're not talking about this is just an offseason. He's been trying to get a long-term extension with Cincinnati Bengals for a very, very long time. He requested a trade, I believe it was last year as well. So he might be the player I can see kind of being moved off to a different organization. Now, Cincinnati's dealing with a lot of different things, right? They also got Shamar Stewart, which is their first round pick this year. He's not happy with his current rookie deal as well. So they're dealing with a lot of mess over there right now in Cincinnati. So the most realistic guy I could see kind of get moved off is probably Trey Hendrickson. TJ Watt, I do believe he'll probably stay in Pittsburgh. Terry McLaurin, if the Commanders were smart, especially because Jaden Daniels is going to his year 2. He needs his wide receiver number 1. If they were smart, they would keep him. But I do believe that maybe Trey Hendrickson might be the most realistic guy to get moved off of that specific, situation that we're living in right now. Now, are the Cardinals interested, right? That's the big question that we got dealing with. We mentioned before, I would just hope that Monty Ossenfort can pick up the phone and at least ask and humor the idea that, hey, what will it take for something like this? Because this is a move that puts you into the next level of teams that are contending teams, to a team there's a lot of unknown, right? Because I'm not sure if you guys feel the exact same way, but for me, I look at year 3 of JG and I look at year 3 of Monty in this current regime, and I say to myself, okay, we done the appropriate steps to make what was the biggest weakest point in 2024. Now in 2025, we solidified what we can do, right? What makes us better is our defensive line right now. Of course, we got a lot of young guys in the secondary, primarily in the cornerback room, but they're all going to learn, right? They're all going to learn with the bumps and bruises and kind of getting thrown into the fire. I mean, usually that's the best way to kind of learn. Let's be real here. But is this the next move for the Arizona Cardinals to make? Well, the next move is for the Cardinals to make a playoff run, right? To go to the playoffs and hopefully win a playoff game. I'm not expecting Super Bowl personally as an Arizona Cardinal fan, but if you make a move like this, this will tell the Arizona Cardinal fan base that, okay, we're going for it all. I would hope that the Arizona Cardinals are interested in any of these three guys. If I were to pick one of these three guys that I want the Cardinals to go in on, would probably be Terry McLaurin, specifically because our defensive line right now, we did a lot of big upgrades in this last offseason that, of course, TJ Watt would be a huge upgrade to this defensive line. Of course, Trey Hendrickson would be a big upgrade, right, to this defensive line. But I feel like we have enough to be very, very good in 2025 with the current state of the defensive line. Of course, I wouldn't be mad with the TJ Watt. I wouldn't be mad with the Trey Hendrickson. But right now, looking at what my biggest hole is on this team, I'm concerned with the offense, right? Primarily that wide receiving core. I would love Terry McLaurin on this team. But like I said before, if the Commanders were smart, they would not move off of Terry McLaurin. This is a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. And to his respected right, he definitely deserves to get some sort of pay bump in his contract. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts? Do you think the Arizona Cardinals are interested in any of these three guys? Do you think the Arizona Cardinals will be making a move like this, getting a Trey Hendrickson, getting a TJ Watt, getting a Terry McLaurin? Let me know here in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Right now, we are sitting in the 1st of July, and it is getting a little ugly in the NFL with a lot of these superstar guys that wanted to get their contract negotiated, and right now, it still hasn't been done. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your overall thoughts here in the comments. Who do you want? Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.